Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have best month ever review for you. I would like to thank the developer for the review copy. What if you only had a month left to live? Most will cross everything out of their bucket list if possible, or even break bad like Walter White. What if you had an 8-year-old child to take care of? Best month ever puts you in the shoes of the terminally ill Louise, who is a young but strong-willed woman as she travels with her mixed-race child through 1969's United States in hopes to secure his future and empower him to become a confident and resilient man. The game has a warning at the very start, and there's a reason for it. I'm not going to go into details or spoil anything. Let's just say that some segments touch on some dark and obscure subjects that are too real and not something I expected going in. Needless to say, it was a very well scripted story and I enjoyed it massively. This is a point and click narrative experience with heavy emphasis on the story and the choices given to the player. Think of something like the Telltale series, The Walking Dead game, in terms of flow and gameplay, and it's something similar to that. The main difference here is the impact of your choices and how they affect not only your son, but his traits. Everything is centered around these 3 traits. You have righteousness, which determines his attitude towards law and following rules, confidence, which determines his self-assuredness, and lastly, relations, which measures his attitude towards other people. You will be using both characters mainly depending on the scenario, and although at times I felt like I barely interacted with my controller rather than to select a choice when prompted, it was quite fitting for the kind of game it is. There are some simple quick time segments here and there, as well as some activities which not only support the flow of the narrative, but also help mix up the gameplay, especially when the player's input can feel limited. Controlling characters is simple enough, with main objectives pointed out in the environment for you to check out or interact with. There are many times when the player can be left guessing whether they take control of the characters or not, as the cues to use a controller are not always obvious. I did encounter some funny animation hiccups, but nothing that deterred from the experience. The camera is fixed and set at a distance, and at times it felt like watching a play at a theatre. The game is broken into chapters, each lasting an average of 10 to 15 minutes. It has multiple endings, and no 2 playthroughs will be the same. The story requires a lot of players' input when it comes to choosing a response, but the situations fall so much in the grey area that no choice feels too good or too evil. The situations Mitch and his mother get involved in vary massively, and some push them and the player to the edge. I'm not a massive fan of point and click adventures, but this seems to be a welcome addition to the genre as it tries to portray the experience of a man of colour reminiscing about his final month traveling through the late 1960s US with his mum. The adult themes and raw content are too good for me to spoil in this review. I felt heartened to guide the duo as best as one could against all odds. The developers have done a great job at creating what felt like an interactive movie where your choices carry some weight. The voice acting is of a very high standard, which is crucial for a game that is trying to convey a heartfelt story. All of the characters felt like real people without being too cheesy or overbearing. There is a lot of swearing to add an extra punch to the emotion felt by the cast, but these can be toned down thanks to the profanity filter. The music is fitting for the atmosphere of the era, and some songs come from jukeboxes or radios. Some of the tunes played during tense moments in the story reminded me of the epic rock songs from bands of the time and later on. The music implementation, or the lack thereof, has been cleverly thought out to help create drama within the story, when it is the cast and their demeanors that take center stage. The visuals are probably the weakest part of the game. Some shots will have the protagonist opening the trunk of the car, for example, and the resolution seems like it will kick in until you realize that that's it. They seem to have gone for a three-dimensional, almost comic book, cel-shaded style visuals, which for the most part do the job, but can seem pretty dated to today's standards. They do fare a lot better when playing in handheld mode, as the roughness seems to be smoothed out. The animations are decent enough, minus the odd hiccups here and there as mentioned before, and there is a decent amount of lighting effects that make assets pop out nicely. Some of the font can be a tad small, especially the trait symbols that appear when choices appear on screen. There were no frame drops or stutters during my time playing the game. The game is available from the eShop for £17.99 or your regional equivalent and requires 4.2 GB of storage. One full playthrough isn't too long, bearing in mind that it's meant to be played multiple times in order to access the different endings. The full asking price is justified when it comes down to the voice acting quality, although if you are picky about visuals, you may want to wait for a sale. Best Month Ever is a movie turned video game. Its narrative is akin to movies such as American Beauty, where you know the ending from the get-go, but it's about the journey that gets you there. It captures a lot of the zeitgeist of the Flower Power era, when the US sent troops to Vietnam, and the civil rights movement was another battle altogether. It was this narrative and the stories within stories that kept me hooked. Choices carried a lot of weight as well as they impact the development of the young boy. I felt at times compelled to do the right thing, although in my next playthrough I will be a different kind of parent. Where the game falls slightly short is in its dated visuals, although these do not deter from the great voice acting and pacing. There's a lot of replay value with different outcomes and 9 different endings. This may be something to check out. I personally recommend this to those seeking a more mature point-and-click adventure with interesting growth mechanics. It's about the journey, not the destination. 7 out of 10. Sum of 69. Thank you everyone for watching. Once again, I would like to thank the publisher and developer for the review copy. If you like what you've seen today, please subscribe. It'll help us grow and get more reviews out. If you've got any suggestions, please leave comments down below. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Keep on gaming. Peace.